Good evening, everyone. I do really like what they did with the music. Yeah. Gonna see if I can finish this first episode tonight. When we last left off, we're trying to solve a murder here, I'll bring up the court record. Trying to solve a murder at the Borscht Bowl Club. There's been a lot of twists and turns. Originally, we're defending Phoenix Wright, who was suspected of beating this guy, Shady Smith, with a not wine bottle, but a grape juice bottle. But it looks like our boss, Christoph Gavin, is actually going to be involved in some way. So, be sure to catch the previous streams if you want to catch up on it. But we're going to start right back into it. Mr. Gavin and Mr. Wright are both in the judge's chamber. Who'd have thought today would turn out like this? May I? Huh? What? Hello, sir. Please, pick a card. What's all this about? Is this one okay? Yeah, it's the same backing. Excellent. I have a message for you. The last hand is about to be played. You'll need a trump card to make it. A trump card? The card you've chosen is magical. Use it wisely and the game is yours. That's all. An ace? Where do I remember that card from? And it looks like it's got blood on it. Five aces in all. The fifth ace. There was cheating, I swear. Missing fifth ace. Wait, this blotch of red, yeah, it seems like it might be blood. You have your trump card. Now it's up to you to cut the deck and draw the truth. Okay! Person who just shows up out of nowhere. My father's fate. Oh, right. My father's fate is in your hands. I know you can do it. Oh, it's not in the record. This bloodstained card is my trump card for finding the truth? I fell deep into thought as my mind raced to understand what this all meant. That girl, I'd seen her recently, but where? That's when I made the connection. Yeah, the locket. Although that seems to be her from quite a while ago. Bloody ace out of the court record. I don't know how that's admissible evidence, though, because we don't even know where it came from. I mean, we can only sort of presume that it's related to the crime, but... April 20th, 2:45. Court will now reconvene. Defense Attorney Christoph Gavin, would you please take the stand? Now then, if you would, Mr. Payne. Yes, Your Honor. The witness state his name and occupation. Is this farce necessary, Your Honor? Believe me, far stranger things have gone on in this courtroom. Fine, I'll play along. First, there's one thing we need to have made clear. How did you know about the secret beneath the victim's hat? By secret, I'm guessing he means the fact that Mr. Smith was bald. Forgive my curiosity, but what is it about this fellow's head? Your Honor seems to have an inordinate interest in it.
Objection!
I wouldn't call it inordinate, Mr. Gavin. That's a familiar theme. Mr. Wright, what do you think you're doing, Wright? Wow, things sure look different from the other side. You know what I mean, Apollo? Speaking of looking from the other side, let's consider something for a second. The victim wore that hat all night, never once taking it off except for that one time. at one time, being the instant he was hit. Oh. When Mr. Wright returned from reporting the crime, the hat was lying on the floor. Mr. Wright picked it up and placed it on the victim's head. In other words, in order to have seen Mr. Smith's bald head, you would have had to have been there in the hideout at the time of the crime. In other words, I must be the real killer, is what you're trying to say. Not bad, Apollo. Mr. Gavin, I'm afraid that I haven't been entirely honest with the court. What? Oh, I assure you, I had the noblest of intentions. I did it all to protect my client, Mr. Wright. Yet, I'm afraid in the current situation I see little reason to hide anything. Very well, allow me to tell you the truth of what happened that night. Finally, you may begin your testimony. Yeah, honestly, like, this is very highly suspicious. Also, welcome. Adientum? Yeah, it's definitely. Oh, hey, how's it going? Have you played these games before? Oh, have you played Apollo Justice or any of the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney games before? Is my sound too low? Okay. Do you have a basic idea of how it works? So I can give you a quick explanation. Okay. So yeah, we are trying to figure out who is the killer of the situation. So here, actually, I can bring up the court record. So basically, the victim got bonked on the head at this Borscht Bowl Club. Looks like it happened during a game of poker. This was supposedly the murder weapon with Mr. Wright's prints on it. It's a picture of the victim. This is his cell phone that he used to make the phone call. Basically, a lot has happened. And then this is I'm playing as Apollo Justice, this is his first case, and apparently his boss, Christoph Yavin, is somehow involved. And yeah, I'll just jump in from there. I guess if you have any more questions or something seems weird, I'll try to explain what's going on. Finally, you may begin your testimony. Tell us, how were you involved in the events of that fateful night? The rage I sensed in that man that night troubled me, so I returned to the club. I went down to the basement and peeked in through the little window to the hideout. It must have been right after the murder took place. The victim was dead, as he appears in the photo. A bald head, an unconscious girl, and Wright holding a bottle in his hand. I sensed that was not the best place for me to be at the time, and so I left. That's when the call came from Wright. Okay. You witnessed the murder. For better or worse, I missed the actual moment of the deed. Mr. Gavin, may I remind you that you are on Mr. Wright's defense team. Your testimony is clearly disadvantageous to your client. What else could I say? I'm standing on the witness stand, after all. So you are, Mr. Gavin. And you had to testify as you just did. You had to tell them you saw the scene of the crime through that little window. Mr. Wright? You had to say that. Because that was the only probable window of opportunity, right, Apollo? Hey, how's it going? Oh. Mr. Wright, the defense should do the cross-examination, not the defendant. Mr. Justice, are you prepared? Yes, Your Honor. I can't believe I'm going up against Mr. Gavin. This trial is getting weirder and weirder. Alright. Alright, so we're gonna press him on for more information, because I don't know that I necessarily see an obvious contradiction here. He's just going right, holding a bottle in his hand. That man, you mean Mr. Smith. He was different from the other customers, his aura, shall we say. I knew he was a serious poker player, but it was more than that. So then, you knew the true nature of your client's job? Of course, but I also knew he wasn't engaged in gambling, which would be illegal. Well, it makes sense that he'd know. They were friends after all. Worried for my friend, I returned to the club. You see, I feared this Mr. Smith might be someone coming to settle an old score. I see, what happened then? Down to the basement and peeked into the little window of the hideout. The little window? You mean the one used to keep watch up the stairs? Yes, a relic of the ancient past. The Black Marketeers used it, I believe. Why'd you go through the trouble of peeking in through the window? Wouldn't it have been easier to just open the door and go into the room? I didn't want to upset Wright, you see. Upset Mr. Wright? Yes, what if my fears had been unfounded? I'd be walking in on their match. Bad form, to say the least. So far, everything he's saying makes sense. Right after the murder took place. How do you know it was right after the murder? Really, no need to shout, Justice. I was just getting to that part in my testimony. Ah, there he is. The coolest defense in the West we know and love. Even when you're standing up there on the witness stand, some things never change. I was afraid you'd change too, right? But you haven't. You and that overbearing personality of yours. Friends like these, who needs enemies? The victim was dead as he appears in the photo. Okay. By photo, you mean the second photograph of the crime scene. Second photograph of the crime scene. Precisely, you see, he wasn't wearing his hat then. I saw his head when he was dead, and Mr. Wright came along and replaced his hat. He described the scene of the crime for us. Bald head, unconscious girl on the right. Those were the only three at the scene of the crime? Yes, as far as I saw at least. We're back where we started. The killer was the defendant, Phoenix Wright. Who else could it have been? But why didn't you talk to the police? 2 reasons. First, I didn't actually witness the very moment of the crime. Second, my office was asked to defend Wright. Even after seeing what I had seen, I couldn't abandon my friend. There must have been someone else there at the moment of the crime. Justice, I just said I saw no one, not a soul. But that goes against what Mr. Wright said. Ah yes, this mysterious 4th person, who would conveniently be the real killer, I suppose. Glad to see we agree, Mr. Gavin. Let me pose a question then. Tell me, what possible reason did the real killer have to swap cards in the victim's hand? That's a good point. Perhaps you can show us a reason why such a thing would be necessary. Did I show something I can't find myself? Remember, Apollo, the card that was swapped out was the 5th ace. 5th ace, right. Well, Mr. Justice, the question of why the killer would swap out a card has been raised. Can you point to a reason? I mean... Okay. If this is from the murder, then obviously the reason why it needs to be switched out is because it has blood on it. Wait, would it need to be? Why would the killer need to swap out a card if it had blood on it? Because if the guy had been murdered, obviously there's going to be blood. Like, it wouldn't be unreasonable to expect blood at the crime scene. I feel like that's not... Not yet, Your Honor. Not Not yet? Pathetic. Not yet. Try not ever. Oh, Mr. Gavin. Oh, I'm willing to wait for as long as it takes. Great, I don't even know what the heck I'm looking for. Apollo. Yes, sir? Don't forget, you already know the answer. You just don't realize it yet. I already know the answer? Take a moment to think it over again, okay? Huh. Hey, how's it going? I sensed that was not the best place for me at the time, so I left. Okay. It is. However, it has taken a number of twists since you left yesterday, so, wouldn't have been better to wait for the police to arrive. Remember, though, by that time, I was already Wright's defense attorney. It wouldn't do for me to become part of the investigation. It makes sense, or does it? I'm confused. Well, what happened next? That's when the call came from Wright. Where were you when the phone call came? I had already left the Borscht Bull Club by that time. On the phone he asked me to defend him. Naturally, I was surprised. I accepted, however. I couldn't abandon him. So kind of you. So far, everything jives with Mr. Wright's testimony, I think. Is it going to be a problem for you to cross-examine your own boss? I'm fine. Who was it that taught me never to pull punches in cross-examination? It was you, Mr. Gavin. I learned it from watching you. Yeah, so let's see if I can give you a recap of what happened. So basically, where were we when you left yesterday? I can try and catch you up on what happened, because a lot happened very quickly. Right. So she and the victim were supposedly working together. Right. But something weird happened with all of the cards, to where it didn't make sense for what was going on, and there was the idea that there would be a fourth person involved. And what we realized was, she was wearing a shady frame, right. So that didn't work out, and as it turns out, when it didn't work, the victim, Shady, got angry and beamed her and knocked her unconscious. So she was actually out first. According to Phoenix's testimony, he then left and went upstairs to call the police because Shady was being violent. And when he came back down, the guy was dead. His hat had been knocked off, so he put the guy's hat back on, went back upstairs, he went back upstairs, called Christoph, and asked him to be his defense attorney. So then when he went back down, he noticed that the guy's hat had been knocked off, and so a couple of things happened. One, if you remember the beginning of the case, Christoph described the scene as the cards having blue backs, and what we didn't realize at the time was that that was a black and white photo, and he said it before the color photo was released. Well, I think he could tell the guy was dead at that point. And clearly something was up here, because when he left, the guy was alive, and then he comes back down, and supposedly no one else was there, and the guy was now dead. So Christoph had pointed that out, and that was very weird. And then when Phoenix called him, he had also mentioned the guy's bald head, which no one should have been able to see because the guy had just come in from out of country, and he never took his hat off. So at that point, Phoenix was like, something's up here. So he put the guy's hat back on so that none of the investigators would have seen it, and didn't show up in the photo until later on when they took the investigation photo that showed up later in the trial. So basically, this guy, Christoph, he's the defense attorney, but he's known a bunch of things that he shouldn't have known. And we did know that he also had dinner with Phoenix the night before. So now they're having him come up and testify about what he saw and why he knows all these things. And according to him, he was like, oh, well, I think the problem is that there's not a whole lot of clues in terms of like what happened. I mean, it wasn't like there are a lot of the games like this that I've seen, like Danganronpa or whatever. They usually have these like really elaborate death traps that the killer uses, whereas this one, it's literally just, yeah, the guy just bonked him on the head and left. So there's not that many clues regarding like how the thing was done, or at least there are not that many yet. Maybe this will come up during the investigation. We just have to dig into it. But right now we're working with motive and what we have essentially. So according to him, he came back because he thought the guy was aggressive. He looked down the window. He apparently saw the victim was already dead. And that was when he saw the guy's bald head, and he saw Wright with a bottle in his hand, supposedly. So this part is what conflicts with what Wright stated, and then he just left. So this is the issue. As far as I saw, at least. In fact, we started, the killer was defendant. I didn't talk to the police. And he didn't talk to the police because he didn't see the moment that it happened, and because he was asked to defend Wright. That was the fifth ace. Right. So, also, Tormund, you should know, when Apollo stepped out while they were taking the second recess, while he was out there, this mysterious girl showed up and handed him this fifth ace with the spot of blood on it. Which appears to be from the crime scene, but it's like this here. Single drop of blood marks the front of the card. I mean, this feels like a really bad idea. Now or never, the defense would like to present evidence to the court, evidence showing the reason why card was swapped out. Go ahead and point out your reason, Mr. Justice. This feels like a really bad idea, but I'm not sure what else to do. My reason is, this. Is that an ace? Why, it's got blood on it, right next to the spade. What? This is insane. Why wasn't I told about this? Why? Could this be the missing fifth ace? So this is this broken chain of custody, buddy. Yeah, I don't know, man. There's definitely something weird going on here. It's inconceivable. How could you? What are you doing with that card? Well, that's the thing. Why is Mr. Gavin so upset? Just a fishy card from some fishy girl. Oh, that card? It's mine. That is, I picked it up at the Borscht Bowl Club that night after the murder had occurred. I gave it to my daughter. Cards are her stock in trade, after all. No, impossible, unacceptable. The court can't accept this evidence. It's a fraud. A fraud? How can you be so sure? What? I would think the only person who could claim it was a fraud would be the one who took the real card from the crime scene, the real killer. Yeah, I don't know. This game plays fast and loose with actual law here. Here's the thing, though. Court can't accept it's a fraud. A fraud, how can you be so sure? The only person who could claim it was a fraud would be the one who took the real cards from the crime scene, the real killer. I think this might be... Oh. I think I have an idea. Allow me to elaborate. What if this trace of blood was the reason? The reason for the killer to take the card from the scene of the crime. Where are you going with this? I wonder if they're going to be like, well, we never said... hold on. Where are you going with this? Take another look at the photo and at the victim's head. At the moment of the crime, his hat fell to the floor. A trickle of blood ran from his forehead down the back of his head. Couldn't a drop of that blood have fallen on one of the cards? I suppose. The killer then took the card to hide the blood. Regardless, that evidence is not permissible. Oh? This the company. The actual laws is what the club needs to have. Yeah, pretty much. Right, regardless of how you wasted the last 7 years, you used to be a lawyer. You know what a serious crime it is to conceal evidence. Oh, we can discuss the finer points of our legal system later. What's important now is that I've answered your question. What are you talking about? You wanted to know why the killer would have taken a card from the crime scene. And now, I've told you. That one drop of blood would have been decisive evidence, you see.
Objection!
This is baseless conjecture. Baseless!
Objection!
Oh, I assure you it's quite based. What? It's amazing, really. How a single drop of blood on a single card can lead us to the truth. It's quite simple. Well, Apollo? Yes? Try picturing the scene of the crime in your head. The murder took place in the hideout. The body of the luckless victim was found at the poker table, and before the killer swapped the card out, there was a single card with a drop of blood on it in the victim's hand. Given this, there is one decisive problem with the scene. Yeah, because if this is how the scene played out, and it ran off the back of his head, but if the drop of blood was on the card, and the card was on the table, then it went in the wrong direction. Given that there was a drop of blood on the card, whose position in this diagram doesn't fit? The victims, the killers, or the witnesses? Second witnesses would be the victims, because the card should be back here if the blood was running. If the blood was running from the top of his head backwards, the card should have been on the floor back here. But if it was on the table, I'm wondering if this card actually even came from the crime scene, because he might just be like, "Oh yeah, here's a card with blood on it." Yeah, it means the victim was actually leaning forward instead of back. And also maybe turned around? I don't know. But I'm wondering if he's just like, "Oh yeah, this is just a card with blood on it." But you reacted to it when you saw it, which means you know something you shouldn't have known, that kind of thing. Well, isn't the victim's position that's the problem? I don't follow your logic here, Mr. Justice. Well, look, the victim was struck on the head, sending him back in his chair. Yeah, you'd think any blood would fall behind the body, not onto the table in front of him. Take a look at the photo again. If he bled in this position, the blood would fall on the floor, not on the cards. That's right, so what does this mean? Incidentally, we were sitting in swivel chairs. Swivel chairs? Oh man, Apollo, try turning the chair around. Yeah, if the chair's turned around... Options? How do I... Ah, so you just turn it around. Swivel chairs! Chairs facing the other way. It would have to be. So we have to assume that at the time of the murder, the victim's chair was facing away from the table. When Mr. Wright returned from informing the police, which way was the chair facing? When he came back to the room, the body was facing as seen in this photo. That would mean the killer turned the chair back around. So the killer also tampered with the crime scene. If that's what happened. The killer turned the chair back around. Let's take the next step. Look at the diagram once more. We now know the victim's facing away from the table at the time of the murder, but this creates another significant contradiction. Let's test your reasoning skills again, shall we? Apollo, whose location on this diagram contradicts our new understanding of the crime? The victim is facing away. Well, now the killer is in the wrong spot. The victim was struck from the front, correct? Indeed. So, wouldn't it be hard for the killer to hit him from the front? Sitting where his indicator currently is. I would think it'd be quite hard, yes. Yes, but what you're saying makes no sense. Why would the victim suddenly turn to face the wall in the middle of a game? With sufficient reason will soon come to light. What? There's something in this diagram that makes far less sense, actually. Look again at the diagram. Apollo, if the victim was struck while he was sitting as shown here, where would his assailant be standing? But there's no room to put a mark where the killer should be. Don't worry, let's think it through and see what we find. We know the victim was facing toward the wall at the time of the... They are. But I'm not sure how else the evidence fits if this is the case. This is where the complex murder scene happens. We were talking. Remember how you were talking about previously about how, like, why weren't they discussing how this happened? Well, this is why, because it turns out it's really complicated after all. We're just now finding out about it. So, congratulations, you got the complex crime scene you wanted. The victim was facing toward the wall at the time of the crime. That's the only thing we know for sure. Try to forget about everything else. Where would the killer have to be standing to strike our victim from the front? He'd have to be standing in this cabinet, which looks like... I can't see right now, but... Killer had to be standing, well, here. Which, if we look at this, it looks like there's a cabinet there, or something, with pots in it? I don't know. You get points for flair, but that's about all you get. Thought I was onto something there, too. I hardly need to point out that standing there would be impossible. The victim is facing a solid cupboard. Or are you claiming the killer climbed the cupboard and hit him from above? Ha! It's simple logic, really. If this is the only place the killer could have been standing, then that means that, at the very moment of the crime... Wait, I know. At the moment of the crime, the cupboard wasn't there. What? What's this now? I mean, that's the only explanation. Alright, I get that they're using Sherlock Holmes' reasoning when you've ruled out everything else to be impossible, but... Your Honor, I have a suggestion for the defense. We should arrange to examine the cupboard and the hideout immediately. You're claiming someone moved furniture around. I have a suspicion for this. Because this was originally a place where a lot of gangsters and, like, black market deals hung out. So I'm wondering, given that he's suggesting we examine it immediately... Yeah, I get the feeling that Phoenix knows something that we're about to find out. Have them try to move the cupboard. Your Honor, what? There's one more thing your men should look for. Please give this to the bailiff. Yes, I see. You do belong in the courtroom after all, Mr. Wright. I do my best. But let's forge ahead here while we wait. Look at the diagram once again. It's been changed. The killer was standing here at the time of the crime, and this cupboard wasn't here. Which means... Apollo, try moving the cupboard. Well, the only way it can be moved is, yeah, to... There's new mystery play I saw, like, while the lights were out. Yeah, of course, and now this blocks the window, so how could he have seen in the window if the cupboard moves? Time of the murder, it has to have been as shown here, which means you can't have seen into the window. Now everything is in place to reconstruct the moment of the crime. Oh my, what's this? What is it now? Look at the diagram of the crime scene once more. It appears we found yet another contradiction. What I believe to be the final contradiction, in fact. Oh dang, notice something, Apollo. Our line of deduction is rapidly approaching its logical conclusion. Now then, Mr. Justice, please point to the new contradicting indicator. Well, if the window is blocked, we know that now the problem is here, which I get the feeling is what Phoenix was going for the whole time. About this cupboard, are we all okay with assuming it was moved? Sure, why not? Well, if it was, something really doesn't fit. The cupboard would completely cover up the window to the stairs. That's right, someone standing outside wouldn't be able to see in. Someone like Mr. Gavin. What did you say? Oh, is the coolest defense in the West losing his cool? There's a power outage and the lights go out for a few seconds and the lights come up, everything's moved around, there's a dead body, and the rest of the play is trying to determine what happened during those several seconds. Yeah, it seems like it's almost exactly like this kind of situation, except instead of the lights going out, there's like some shuffling of people going around. So they just weren't all in the room at the same time. I'm starting to think that Twitch might be his tell. Yeah. Don't expect me to play along with your little game, right? It's only a game until someone gets killed, Mr. Gavin. And someone was, while the window to that room was blocked by a cupboard. So, Mr. Gavin, perhaps you'd like to explain to the court exactly where did you witness the crime scene from? Excuse me, Your Honor. Order. This is a court of law and I will have order. We just now received word from our investigative team at the Borscht Bull Club. They've examined the cupboard and the hideout, Your Honor. Oh, and what did they find? Well, Your Honor, it turns out there's a secret passage behind it, yup. I believe I mentioned something of the sort before. This is one of the tricks to the room many of our regulars... Yeah, they did mention this earlier, that there were a bunch of tricks to the room, and the regulars know about all of them. So, I guess this was somewhat telegraphed, but I wouldn't have remembered that. I remember saying something about that now that he mentions it, yo. Secret passage is a handy thing to have when you're engaged in illegal goings-on. Yeah, exactly, because... black market dealings, of course. I know you might need to duck away from the eyes of the law. So the room has a secret passage. Where does it go? The other side connects to the restaurant above. The underworld bosses could get away from the cops and enjoy a cold bowl of borscht, no doubt. Just like our killer. The cover of the roof, I guess the real story is gonna get wilder. Yeah. You see where our line of simple deductive reasoning has led us, Apollo. I see it, but I don't believe it. That girl wasn't kidding when she said I needed this trump card for the last hand. Time of the murder, the window was blocked and the victim's hat was only off his head for the few minutes between Mr. Smith's murder and Mr. Wright's return from calling the cops. In other words, the only place anyone could have seen the victim's bald head was from inside the hideout. Well, Mr. Gavin? Come on, say something. Dare I ask what really happened that night? Actually, I think we can probably figure it out ourselves at this point. That night, for whatever reason, our killer had a date with Mr. Smith, a date with Destiny. There he crouched, hidden in the secret passageway behind the cupboard, holding his breath, waiting for just the right moment. Then the chance came, and he took it. Ah. What? Why did you do that? Wait here, I'll get help. As Olga O'Reilly was out cold, struck by Mr. Smith, but his time was soon to come, Mr. Wright went upstairs to call the cops, leaving Mr. Shady Smith alone in the hideout with the unconscious dealer. Then our killer stepped out from the secret passage and into the hideout. The victim must have heard the cupboard sliding aside. He wheeled his chair around to look and... after the deed was done, the criminal must have seen the blood on the card, and that's why he had to switch them. He would have, of course, realized the need to destroy the evidence. That single spot of blood told the whole story of the crime. Too bad for him he didn't linger any longer in the hideout that night. If he had, he might have noticed the cards on the floor and the fact that they were all red. Well, it seems this trial has taken yet another turn. I'm truly, truly sorry I had to see this day come, Mr. Gavin. Mr. Gavin? Mr. Payne! Yarg? Yes, Your Honor. Prosecution will continue its investigation. Mr. Phoenix Wright, the defendant, he is hereby cleared of all suspicion. What? Believe me when I say that I don't believe this is happening, Mr. Gavin, but I'm afraid circumstances call for me to issue a warrant for your arrest immediately. Oh, no need to apologize. I rather enjoyed myself. It's not every day you get to witness a legendary attorney's dirty tactics firsthand. Your point, Mr. Gavin? Frankly, Your Honor, I'm shocked that a person of your caliber would be taken in by such a low-grade parlor trick. Excuse me? The defendant is cleared of all suspicion? This is hardly the time for jokes, Your Honor. Mr. Wright hasn't proven anyone's guilt or innocence here. What he's done is use illegal evidence to put the blame on someone else. Yeah, and not just anyone else, but me, his own defense attorney. Illegal evidence? Let me ask you, Mr. Gavin. Is there still any reason, at present, to suspect me of wrongdoing? Of course. This bottle, for instance. The bottle of grape juice Mr. Wright was drinking. How do you intend to explain away the fingerprints on the murder weapon? And not just any fingerprints. Am I right, Mr. Payne? Or, actually, yes. The fingerprints on the bottle were upside down. I seem to recall this being an issue earlier. The court and this case demand an explanation. I can think of only one reason why one would hold a bottle upside down, and that is to hit someone with the bottom of the bottle. I mean... The fact is like, we kind of got two conflicting theories here, and both of them aren't exactly solid. Like, both of them have some holes in them that don't fit together. See how the caught fish squirms to the last. Well, Apollo? Yes? Your boss seems awfully concerned about this bottle still. I'm sure you can come up with a suitable explanation. Just like that. Yeah, just like what? Why would anyone grab a bottle upside down other than to... I was wondering if the killer hit him with a bottle from the table, or if he hit him with a bottle that he'd been holding while waiting in the passageway. Yeah, like... There's a lot of holes that are left to be filled in this investigation, I think. Don't let him trick you into thinking his explanation is the only legitimate one. Is there really another? Take another look at the court record. Maybe you'll find a simple answer there, in plain sight. How about you just say the answer in plain words? It would be hasty to deliver a verdict with unanswered questions, indeed. Well, Mr. Justice, forward, does that mean you asked the victim to pick up the bottle before hitting him? It doesn't make... Yeah, like, he wouldn't have... if the killer came in through the passageway, he wouldn't have used that other bottle. Gavin said the court and this case demand an explanation. Don't worry, justice won't leave until justice... Thank you, Apollo. Perhaps the defense would care to enlighten the court. What evidence do you have to explain why the fingerprints in the bottle are upside down? Okay, that wouldn't be it. And that's the same one. I mean, there's this one right here where clearly if he's going to pick... He's not going to... Yeah, because if he were to pick it up with his right hand, he would actually reach back if he wanted to grab a bottle. It seems like the best option. It's actually easier to show you than explain, Your Honor. Yeah, place that bottle on the floor next to your chair. Yeah, on the floor. If you reach back with your right hand, if you want to pick it up, you have to pick it up upside down without getting out of your chair. See, you naturally go to pick up the bottle by its neck with your fingers upside down. Look at this photograph taken on the night of the murder. You know, the number of times they say, look at this photograph in this game, is really upsetting. The defendant, Mr. Wright, sat here, playing piano, bottles of grape juice on the floor to the side of his piano bench. Yup. He would have naturally picked up the bottles upside down several times. Can't believe it's that simple. Recall our dinner that evening, Christoph. I was drinking my usual juice then, too. Basically, you used the bottle on the table to do the deed. But then you must have remembered, so you went and picked up one of the bottles from under the piano, and you switched the bottles. I mean, yes, if Gavin was the killer, he could have done that, because he wants to... If he's going to tamper with the crime scene to make it look like Phoenix did it, he would have to place a bottle that has Phoenix's fingerprints on it at the crime scene. So he would have to place the bottle there. Mr. Wright's bottles and made it look like the murder weapon. Right, because, and the reason why this is an issue is because earlier, Phoenix, well, because this is all stuff that Phoenix claims to have done too, so it's still on this line of, like, there's two things that both people have claimed to have set up, and which one is the correct one. But he claims to have put the five, I think this is the Five of Hearts, the card that Olga attempted to slip into his pocket, he put it in his grape juice bottle that he had been drinking out of. But the grape juice bottle that was in the table didn't have the card in it. So where is the card if it's not in the bottle anymore? You see these charges. So it's still plausible, but it's also like, it's the setup where it could have been this thing or it could have been this other thing. Like, I don't know that either of them has decisive evidence yet. She did put the card in his pocket. Phoenix found the card in his pocket, and then once he'd finished the bottle of juice that he'd been drinking out of, he put the card in the bottle. But we pointed out, well, there's a problem with that because the card isn't in the bottle that's at the crime scene. So this is the legendary attorney's famed tactic of misdirection. What? You claim that I switched the bottle. Where's your proof? Proof? Well, that's, as I thought, more baseless conjecture. Yeah. Like, until you find the bottle with the card in it, you can't prove that he put the card in the bottle and that Gavin switched them. But at the same time, until you can prove... Yeah, there's a lot of things that are, like, circumstantial, I guess. But yeah. Afraid that your bottle of proof is quite empty. I wouldn't be so sure about that. Your Honor, when you initiated the investigation of the hideout earlier, do you recall I questioned additional Oh, so his additional investigation is there a bottle somewhere that has the card in it? Retrieve the bottles from under the piano at the Borscht Bowl Club. And here's one of the bottles in question. What, are you going to dust that for fingerprints too? I would be surprised if any were on that but his. So Gavin probably wouldn't make such a novice mistake. True, that bottle won't bear a trace of anything. Say, Apollo, why don't you go ahead and examine that bottle? But why? Just humor me. Mr. Wright, that bottle will solve this case once and for all. Yeah, I'm guessing. I think I have an idea what's gonna... And there it is. So, here's the bottle that he slipped the card into. But why is it under the piano? Because if he slipped it in the card while they were at the card table, the bottle shouldn't have been up there. What's this? That card? It can't be. Call that unpleasant woman's testimony from... Yep. Miss Olga, really? Yes, our little swindling Devochka. On that night I planned the card like I was supposed to, and Wright lost the last hand just like he was supposed to. Then Smith searched him. The planted card was gone. The trap failed. Wait, this isn't... You're telling me that this is the planted card you disposed of? One you mentioned in this piece of testimony. I happened to put my hand in my pocket and found a card. Yes, I snuck a peek at it and found it was the Five of Hearts. I had a feeling something might happen, so I disposed the card before the game. Disposed? Where? There was an empty bottle of grape juice I had been drinking right beside me. Threw the card inside the bottle. So this should have been at the crime scene, and the one that's empty shouldn't have been there, and so now it's starting to look pretty bad for Mr. Gavin. Bottles were swapped, and the only one who could have done that was the fourth person in the club that night. Okay then. That's all. Is this your idea of revenge, Phoenix Wright? Revenge? Yeah, I thought it was borscht on that plate too, but apparently it was a lobster. It just moved too quickly. Revenge for the events that took away your attorney's badge 7 years ago. My past is like my logic, straight and true. Nothing's changed. All I did was point the finger of justice in the proper... Damn it, Phoenix. He just had a spontaneous confession. Fine. I'm glad we could have this little tete-a-tete, right? This is insane. What about me? Don't I get to prosecute anyone? I think this time we finally come to the end of our trial. Mr. Payne, do you have a report for us on Christoph Gavin? He's admitted everything. We're processing his arrest now. I see. Still, one has to wonder why he would do such a thing. He didn't even have a connection to the victim, did he? None that we know of. Mr. Wright, have you anything to add? I'm afraid I can't shed any more light on the matter. About this victim, Mr. Shady Smith. His occupation was listed as traveler. An odd profession to be sure, and that's all we know about him. I'll arrange a follow-up investigation, Your Honor. Good. Mr. Wright? Yes? 7 years, and you still haven't lost your touch. Christoph Gavin was a man with much significance for me, both as a friend and a lawyer. He's extremely talented, to be sure. I needed 2 things before I could confront him. The first was a place where no injustice would be tolerated, this courtroom. The second was a man who would tolerate no injustice. In other words, a defense attorney. You, Apollo. Me? This is a dark time for our legal system, a twisting of justice brought on by our very own initial trial system. We have to set it right. Mr. Wright? Our work lies ahead of us, and I, for one, am looking forward to it. Well, this seems like a good time to announce a verdict. This court finds the defendant, Mr. Phoenix Wright, not guilty. Yeah. Court is adjourned. April 20th, 4:28 p.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby, number 3. Thanks, Apollo. Came through, just like I thought you would. Pretty sure I didn't do a thing in there. Yeah, that was kind of like... We were just kind of like tagging along for the second half there. It was you, Recorder Mr. Gav, the killer. Couldn't have done it by myself. You sensed it too today, didn't you? Your ability. Yeah, Tormuse, you may have missed this earlier, but like that whole thing with reading tells, apparently Apollo has this weird thing where he has like an uncanny ability to do this. So I guess this is going to come up in later cases. Yeah, sensitivity I lack. You'll come to understand it soon enough. Wait, I wonder if he means... One question for... Yeah, so they're going to show it again. You say you saw the moment the defendant hit the victim. This is true. Of course it's true. It's this weird vibe I'm getting. What was that, Mr. Wright? You'll have to find the answer to that question yourself. The answer... right. Today was full of questions without answers, most of them about Mr. Gavin. What possible reason could he have had to commit murder? Perhaps you'll learn that in the days to come. Huh? Wait, you don't know, do you? This locket is the key. Huh? Oh, that reminds me. I met the girl whose picture is in your locket. Your daughter, right? That's right, she's my daughter. You know, you were right about this locket. Eh? I took this off his neck the night he died, but it looks like our dear Russian scam artist saw me. So the truth is, this locket really did belong to him. Wait, but that's perjury. You testified. You said that locket was yours. I said no such thing, actually. Huh? I merely said that it was a locket with my daughter's picture inside. A subtle distinction, but a distinction nonetheless. Yeah, I get the feeling that if we go back and look at his words, a lot of them will be things that are like, oh yeah, this is technically not a lie. So it's... But obviously people are going to make assumptions about it that are incorrect. It's the truth. Wait, but then why was the victim wearing a locket with a picture of your daughter inside it? Sometimes the straight-up path to the truth isn't the best one. Give it time. You're still just getting started with your career. Speaking of which, I may be out of a job. I work for Gavin Law Offices after all. I still can't believe I just saw Mr. Gavin get led away in handcuffs. Apollo, yes? How about coming to work for me? Eh? You mean at the Wright & Co. Law Offices? I mean, there's not a single attorney in my generation that doesn't know it. Can't imagine that to be true, but... Wait, but didn't you... You're not a... Oh, I turned in my badge, yes. I'm not an attorney anymore. That incident 7 years ago. That legendary trial. And at the middle of it all was one man, Phoenix Wright. The case reached its sad conclusion, and he left law for good. You ever thought about coming back to the courts? I'm not qualified to stand in a court of law, I'm afraid. Didn't you notice in today's trial? There was a single piece of forged evidence. Forged evidence? What are you talking about? I'm talking about evidence that shouldn't have existed. A naughty magician's trick. One piece of evidence struck me as odd, it's true. It just seemed, well, too perfect. Let's save this, because I'm pretty sure about this, but, I'll bet this was the forged evidence. You mean this, don't you? I got this from your daughter, Mr. Wright. Yes, that card couldn't have been found at the crime scene. Why? Because the killer took it with him when he left. Leaving the wrong card in its place, luckily for us. Yup. The court can't accept this evidence. It's a fraud. Fraud? How can you be so sure? I would think the only person who could claim it was a fraud... Yeah, and that's the problem, is... It was a fraud, but there's no way to prove it unless you are the killer who has the card that's the real one. So he couldn't... If Gavin had been able to present evidence that showed it was a fraud, it would have solidified that he was the killer, so he couldn't prove it wrong. Oh, I'm fairly certain that was just an ace of spades with a spot of blood on it. Like, I don't think it was actually, like... They probably just pulled it out of, like, a deck and said, yeah, I'm just gonna put a spot right here. So it's just a card that they brought in, like, hey, look at this. Isn't this suspicious? Well, if you look at this, you know, and then he just went from there. My verdict was already handed down 7 years ago. Then you really... Yep, I forged this card. Yeah, one look at the crime scene should have told you it wasn't real. But you can't do something like that and call yourself an attorney. Who's calling themselves an attorney, Apollo? So it's true. The rumor is true. 7 years ago. None of that matters much now, does it? I punched him. It's your story from here on out, Apollo. Perhaps I can help you turn the next page. My office's address. Drop in if you like. Mr. Wright. Oh, about your uppercut. Try yelling, "Take that," next time. I find it packs a little more punch. And Apollo, thanks for today. Had a good time. And with that, Mr. Wright walked out the door. And that's how my first trial ended. A lot of mysteries went unsolved, and at the time, I had no idea they were all related. Every mystery that day, connected by a single thread of logic. I'd find that out soon enough. My name is Apollo Justice, attorney at law, and this is how my story begins. Yeah, I can overwrite that one. Yeah, I've only been at this for an hour. We can start on the next one. As long as we draw a breath, the wheel of fate turns. Spinning big crimes and little crimes together. And when the wheel stops, you die. June 15th, 9:12 a.m., Wright & Co. Law Offices. 2 months have passed since Mr. Gavin's arrest. My first trial, and I lost both my mentor and my job. Yeah, I'll admit it, I was screwed. But even when I hit bottom, I told myself I'd never come here. Honest. Here being the legendary Wright & Co. Law Offices. Wow, this place looks different. Although, the plant is still here. Okay, Justice. Yeah, it seems like it. Justice, time to stop trembling. Ah, you must be here for the interview. Right this way. Huh? Hello there, you found the right place. Welcome. What's with this girl? Well now, shall we begin? Begin? What? Right, first things first. Any special talents? Talents? Yes, well, you must have at least one. Well, I guess defending? Defending, an unusual talent, but it'll do. A little jazzing up, of course. Yeah. You think so? Let's give it a go, shall we? Huh? Go ahead, show me. Defend. Let's give it all you've got. Don't hold back now. What are you talking about? I can't just defend here. First lesson, a professional can perform anywhere. Thanks. We want people to be laughing with us, not at us. Thanks. But I'm not sure why they should be laughing at all. What? What exactly do you think you came here to do? What? Defend? No? Excuse me, but do you know where you are? Huh? The Wright & Co. Law Offices, right? Oh, I was afraid of that. Don't worry, you're not the first. Look, what's going on here? Who are you? I came here to meet with the person in charge. Well, you've apparently made no fewer than 2 mistakes. Mistakes? But I got a call from Mr. Wright this morning. Perhaps you should go read the sign out front again. What's there to read? Look, it says right there... Oh. Why does it say Wright Talent Agency? Welcome to the Wright Talent Agency, where you've always come to the right place. I'm Trucy Wright, CEO. I'm a magician. It all came flooding back. The trial of that girl. Hello, sir. Please pay a card. That's right, she's my daughter. Trucy Wright. Here, check out our flyer. From magic to the piano, even your defense, call now. Yeah, I've seen his piano playing skills. The bar is kind of low here. Well, I actually haven't seen them, but I've heard of them. So, what's your name? Apollo Justice, attorney at law. Oh wow, the buttons look way different from the previous game. Also, I just realized they're just spaghetti. Oh, I see. It's a magic trick because the fork is floating in the air. I was about to be like, why is there just spaghetti in the corner? fork is floating! Not. Why do you have a plate of plastic spaghetti here? Right there is the whole reason I became a magician. Do tell. I saw a plate just like that in a restaurant once. The floating fork looked so real, that's when I knew. Someday I'd make magic more amazing than that spaghetti. Alright, Papyrus. Also, I know what this plant is. Don't touch Mr. Charlie, yep. Mr. Charlie? He's been in this office much longer than I have. Daddy's mentor had a great fondness for Mr. Charlie. He's lived here since Daddy was a rookie attorney. Huh, Mr. Charlie. Right. Now I take care of him. Yeah, these are... I think this was also here previously? All these legal books must be Mr. Wright's leftovers. There's a lot of unrelated books in here, too. One trick a day, magic for idiots. I think a pro magician would aim a bit higher. Yeah, it's definitely worth going back and playing the first 3 games, because there's going to be, like, there's plenty of new stuff here. And obviously a lot has changed in several years, but I basically, because I played this game years ago, I barely remember any of it. Comic ball trick. All sorts of strange paraphernalia sitting on top of the piano. So my magic props. Practice, practice, practice. Professional never leaves their weapons far from reach. But you can't play the piano with all this junk on it. Oh, no one plays here anyway, and the neighbors complain. I guess Mr. Wright really can't play. Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and, what do I have to present? I have my, attorney's badge. So, is this really a talent agency? You bet. Daddy started it 7 years ago when he quit law. Of course, we only have 2 people signed up right now. 2 people? Does that include you? Juicy Wright, magician extraordinaire. I've done a lot of stage shows. Paid, too. I am a professional, you know. Right. Promise you'll come to one of my shows, okay? Let's see. Oh, and the other person our agency represents is Phoenix Wright, pianist extraordinaire. Your dad, in other words. Didn't he say he couldn't play the piano? Our agency doesn't see that as a problem. Why, there are many magicians who can't do magic. At least you're optimistic, I'll give you that. So you're you're Phoenix Wright's daughter? That's right. After Daddy quit law several years ago, I promised I would keep him fed. So I'm kind of his... No. I'm in charge of this whole office, too. Pretty amazing for a young lass of 15, wouldn't you agree? 15? How old is Mr. Wright? He's 33 this year. I'm sure there's a good explanation. I hope. Hmm? About Mr. Wright giving up law. It was because of that incident 7 years ago, wasn't it? Eh? You know about that? Not the details. I remember the news, though. It was a big deal. So I hear. I was too young to understand what's going on. I'll ask Daddy about it next time I get a chance. Daddy, right. That reminds me, about Mr. Wright. He gave me a call this morning to come in. Daddy's not here right now. He's in the hospital. The hospital? Yeah, he's on strict bed rest until he gets better. What? Okay, which hospital is Mr. Wright in? I'll pay him a visit. Oh, the Hickfield Clinic. It's quite close. Right, well, I'll be going now, and I'll, give this showbiz gig some thought, okay? Wait, I'll go with you. June 15th, 9:45, Hickfield Clinic. That is a big stack of either manga or DVD. No, I think they're DVD cases. So, this is Mr. Wright's hospital. What? What are you doing here? Oh no. Visitors, are you? Yeah, are you the doctor? This man is not a doctor. Yep, Dr. Hickfield's the name. No. Good morning, doctor. No, no, you stay away from her. Is this Daddy's room? Oh yeah, except he's gone for a morning checkup. Be back soon. How are you, Miss Jersey? Got any places you'd like me? No! Bad! What is this guy doing here? Doctor, the nurse was looking for you. Why, if it isn't the Daddy-O, the cutest little thing in town. What an odd bird that guy was. Morning. Didn't expect you so soon, Apollo. Mr. Wright. So, what happened? Who could have imagined it? Me, victim of a hit and run. You were hit by a car? Oh, he tried to swerve, I'll give him that. Picture me tossed 30 feet through the air, only stopping when my head hit that telephone pole. What? You hit a telephone pole with your head? Are you okay? Thankfully, my only injury was a sprain. Okay. He really is as lucky as they say. Something that, well, it just doesn't sit right. I just can't believe you have a daughter, Mr. Wright. And she's so big. You know what I mean. Oh, true, she's still a child. Daddy, how many times do I have to remind you? I'm not a child anymore. She'll always be Daddy's little baby girl to me, Trucy. Ha, my foot. I'm not buying it. Oh, something you should know about Trucy. She's a magician, right? She told me. Not a mere stage magician. She's a genius. Oh, Daddy. You'll soon come to appreciate her talent. You just tell me things instead of insinuating them. But Phoenix Wright never tells people things instead of insinuating them, apparently. So why did you contact me? What could the Wright Talent Agency possibly want with me? Why do you get prickly now? Hey, I didn't ask to be dragged in like this. Huh, but didn't you come into the office of your own free will anyway? Well, yeah, of course. Hell, we're in big trouble here at the office. Big? I thought someone was dying. So you don't think this is big trouble? My talent agency represents only 2 people, and one of them is in the hospital. That's right, Daddy. How are we going to pay this month's rent and the groceries? Yeah, that's the problem with such a tight operation. It's a symbiotic relationship. When one of us falls, the other 2 must fall. Hey, this isn't exactly a suitable conversation to be having with a 15-year-old kid. In any case, if Apollo here can't help you, you'll have to transfer to a new school, again. No, I can't. I only just made friends. How could you do this to me? To us? Polly? Huh? What? Now it's my fault. I feel like we're getting scammed here. On that note, how about you come work for us? I've got the perfect client for you already lined up. A client? You mean I get to do my job? I get to defend in court? Alright, I'll hear what you have to say. You got him, Daddy. Hook, line, and sink. Yeah, we are being scammed. Aha, now it's time to reel him in. It's official. I'm scared. Oh boy. Alright, so who's the client? Ah, yes. Here, take a look at the map and I'll explain. Last night, I left the office just before 9 o'clock. I was going to that Indochine pasta joint, Alvin Tay's. They play piano there, of course. That's when it happened. The car sent me flying, nicked the telephone pole, and zoomed away. Creepy, huh? Just a tad. It's almost as creepy as hearing you tell the story like it was no big deal. The car sped off in this direction. So, good luck! Huh? You wanted a client, didn't you? Well, I'm your client. Find the guy who knocked me into that telephone pole. Whoa, hold on. I'm a defense attorney, not a detective. Don't worry. Once you found the guy, I intend to sue him. Then you can stick it to him in court. I'm not a prosecutor, either. I'm sorry, but this is crazy. I'm going home. Don't get so worked up. It was just a joke. Huh? Oh, Daddy. Sorry, Apollo. He just loves jokes, you know. Even the ones that aren't very funny. Your real client should be stopping by the office any time now. The office? You mean the talent agency? No harm in going. It's not like I have anything else to do. One more thing. Do look into my accident too, would you? I marked the scene of the tragedy on this map. It's right in front of this park. Should be easy to find. So he's going to make me investigate this after all. Oh boy. What have I gotten myself into? A swaying, spiraling stack of DVD. Yeah, this should give you an idea of how old this game is, because DVD cases were still a thing. Steel Samurai, the Nickel Samurai, the Pink Princess, the Zappy Samurai Electric Bugaboo. They're all children's action hero shows. This kid I know keeps sending them to me. Huh, like a niece or nephew? Something like that. Quite the collection. This kid's parents must be really generous with their allowance. Funny, Mr. Wright doesn't seem the type that kids would like. Hey look, it's his grape juice. Snuck some grape juice in again. Doctor said you weren't supposed to drink that here. Trucy, look at the label. Oh, deep sea mineral water. That's fine, I guess. I switched the labels. Don't tell Trucy, Kay. What can I say? The man loves his grape juice. Look, he's even got a tiny piano he can play. It's like a child's toy piano. Gotta practice, wouldn't want my fingers to get stiff. Pro always keeps his weapon close at hand. Shall I play you a tune? No thanks. Ah, how unfortunate. So rarely get a chance to play. Okay. Mr. Wright's bed. It's really messy. How messy this is. You're just hopeless without me, aren't you, Daddy? Yikes, she's attempting to clean up. Look out. You got me. What can I say? I was raised in a barn. Try not to let word get out, Apollo, if you don't mind. Yeah, it might ruin your illustrious career pretending to play the piano. What's that on TV? It looks like some sort of action hero show. Oh, I know that one. That's the Sniffling Samurai. His booger flick attack is a big hit with the grade school crowd. Had no idea I like this kind of stuff, Mr. Wright. Oh, what else is there to do when you're stuck in bed? Besides, the episodes will just keep piling up if I don't keep up, you know? Yeah, try not buying them. Now's the only time I get to watch and write up my reports. Your reports? It's a long story, like a lot of things, actually. Anything else? Seems like that's about it. I'm gonna try presenting him my badge just to see what happens. What's that? Looks strangely familiar. How could you not recognize an attorney's badge? It's been 7 years. I've forgotten a lot of things. I guess some 7 years are longer than others. I thought there might be a reference, because basically you can go and show around this thing to everyone in previous games, and it'd be funny to show it to him. Well, I guess. Back here? Hey, hey, hey! How long you planning on making me wait, eh? Ah, good morning. Hey there, Trucy doll. Sounds like your pop's had a bit of a rough spot, eh? Does this guy have ramen for hair? All's well that ends well, I guess. This is our client? Hey, so this is that Apollo fellow, eh? Oh, yes? The name's Apollo. Look at him there, arms all crossed like, ready to fight. Yes, sir. You don't mean that literally, do you? Yeah, it does. Also, hey. The boss told you what I need, right? Don't let me down now, Apollo. Don't worry about your defense, sir. I'm on it. Defense? Your noodle half-cooked. It's too late for defense. My castle's been stormed. My keep's been kept. My noodle stand's been stolen. Noodle? You know Mr. Eldoon from the noodle... Mr. Eldoon... Noodle stand, don't you, Polly? Also... No nicknames, please. And no, of course I don't know him. You new in these parts? Not really. Then you know the best noodles in town, Eldoon's Noodles. Yeah, he is wearing noodles. Also, his name is basically just noodle backwards. Whose noodles? My noodles. Help me out here, Trucy doll. This is Mr. Guy Eldoon, our client. You can tell us what your problem is, Mr. Eldoon. Anything for you, Trucy doll. Who is this guy? So, you run a noodle stand, Mr. Eldoon. Guy Eldoon's the name, and noodles are my game. Secrets in the soup. I've been searching for the perfect soup for 1.5 years. Oh, that's not that long, really. Family's been noodle men for generations. Got a lot of expectation on my shoulders. 15 fathers passing the noodle to 15 sons. That's a pretty old noodle. Aye, and fool that I was, I pushed it away. I rebelled against my pops and picked another livelihood, but that didn't turn out so well. Oh, there was no denying it. Salty broth runs through these veins, boy. So, it was like destiny that you became what you are. Right, destiny's the word. Oh, I fought it. But in the end, I was bound by the twisted noodle of fate. A mental image I care to linger on. So, last year, I started my noodle stand. The 15th generation of Eldoon's Noodles. Oh boy. So tell me more about Eldoon's Noodles. You don't know the genius that are my noodles? I make them so salty, why, they're saltier than salt. Now, I really don't want to find out. Daddy's a regular at his noodle stand. He frequented my pops' stand back during his attorney days, too. Yep, him and his assistant. I'm sorry, I'll be sure to drop by your stand soon. Wish you could, Sonny. Eh? Heck, I wish I could. Give anything for a bowl about now. What do you mean? It was stolen. My stand. Gone. Stolen? So we are going to be detectives. This last night, I was doing my rounds, blowing my whistle. It's like an ice cream truck's bell, but louder. He even gets complaints. Oh boy. Now you're just trying to butter me up. That sounded more like the blues than a whistle. I closed up my stand for the night and parked by the house. Then this morning, dark and early, it was gone. My keep, my castle, oh. Is he playing the harmonica to... Miraculous Clinic coming for a consult today. Maybe some bum carted it off? Just guessing here. Well, I don't care who did it. Without that stand, I'm finished. All my noodle bowls were in there too. That's the saddest thing I've heard all day. You know it. Anyhow, that's the deal. Good luck. Good... Huh? Wait. What exactly is your request? My noodle stand. Find it. And the day you bring my baby back is the day you feast on as many noodles as you want. Of course, I make it so hot and salty 2 bowls would kill a man. Then I'd really need defense. Speaking of defense, that's what I do. I'm a lawyer, not a detective. This is where I live. You drop by if you need any info, okay? Get it back today if you can, Paulo. I got noodles to make. Things are certainly taking a turn for the bizarre. Traffic accidents and noodle stand thieves. Actually, there was something I wanted to ask you about too, Paulo. Huh? I have a bad feeling about this. Listen to the lady's problem now. Don't be cruel. I lost something last night. That is, something was stolen. Hey, what's this? More thieving and skullduggery? Well, someone stole a... Oh boy. So, petty thievery, hit and runs. Usually these involve murder cases. Well, I guess the stand is a bit more major thievery, but they were stolen. Right. What? It's a crying shame, that is, Trucy. I was alone in the office last night. Hung them out the window. What? When a thief came and took them. I ran after him. Give those back, I shouted. Wait. Well, that was certainly brave of you, but I lost him. Without those, I don't know what I'll do. What? Well, at least the scene of the crime is convenient. I'll mark it. That's just the office. I'll be heading home now. Remember, find my stand where there's an empty bowl in your future, Paulo. Right. And you help out Trucy here too, you hear? You certainly picked up, haven't they? I had no work yesterday, and now we have 3 cases! I guess. Let's see where we stand. Not in a courtroom, that's where. The first item on our list, Phoenix Wright, Daddy's hit-and-run accident. We have to find the one who hit him. Who's going to pay us for this again? And the second item, Sheldon's request to find his stolen stand, for which we stand to gain a bowl of salty noodles. And the last request is mine. That bowl of noodles is looking better and better. Let's go, Polly, to the streets. Aren't you enthusiastic? How can I not be? Let's crack these cases, you and me. I guess we might as well get started. Let's see, a hit and run, a stolen stand, and last but not least, stolen. What is happening? Blue silk hat, just like the one Trucy's wearing. Well, that's just for show. Don't wear it, please. Last thought from my mind, honest. Put it there so clients can see it and know who I am. Nothing says magician like a silk top hat. A strange split box leers at me from the wall. Is this one of those boxes for cutting people in half? That's right. This cabinet is used for an illusion called the zigzag. I've seen one on TV, but why is one just sitting here in your office? Oh, it's a little big for me, you see. I'm using it as furniture. Hats in the top, shirts in the middle, pants down below. I think it's a nice touch, don't you? Not exactly what I call a welcoming decor. Is there anything else? An old sepia-tinted photo of a man in a silk top hat. It's my favorite magician. I want to be just like him someday. Sure, nice. Guess it's good to have a role model, even if he's got to be well over 100. How rude. It's one of those hula hoop things everyone was crazy about way back when. Really? I had no idea these were that popular. Not so bad with one myself, actually. Yeah, I'm still learning. So you can really make someone levitate with it. Show me. Huh? I have no idea how. It's just a normal hula hoop, isn't it? Alright. The table doesn't look very sturdy. I've never seen one of these. It's a magic table. So, like, you make this teapot disappear? So you might think, but that's not it. Before your very eyes, the contents of the pot change. From Earl Grey to Darjeeling. Kinda hard to see the difference, I'd think. Alright, well, I guess we're gonna go exploring. I guess we'll start with the accident scene? Whoa. So this is where Mr. Wright got hit by that car. According to the map, this is the place. What a huge mansion. Apollo, there's a nice-looking lady over there. Let's question her. Okay. Well, curious about the park over there, too. What is happening? Why is the person trying to get over the fence? What's going on? Excuse me, can we have a few words with you? You want something? Whoa, husky voice. Why am I suddenly sweating? It's quite a house you've got there. You must have a lot of money. Money sounds like something my son would call his friends. This is a Kitaki family mansion, little girl. Eh? You, kid with the hair. You want something? Me? No, not a thing. Bye! Hello, we can't leave without questioning her. What if she knows something? But the Kitaki family are the biggest organized crime syndicate in town. If you're going to ask something, ask it, if you're man enough. Like how the broom has a sword concealed in it. Right. Yay, way to whip him into shape, ma'am. She knew No fear? I'm Plum Kitaki, wife of the fourth head of the Kitaki family business. Friends call me Little Plum. I'm Little Apollo Justice, attorney at law. No. Looks could kill. This woman would be a mass murderer by now. Well, I guess I'll ask about them. Well, Plum, that's a really cute name for... Yes? Whoa. What is it, Apollo? How about you go through me when talking to her, okay, Trucy? Huh, that seems like a bit of a needless procedure. I'm a lawyer. I live for needless procedures. Oh, little girl, you should know. We're gangsters. Oh, that means you're the bad guys. Trucy, through me, please. I'm begging you here. The bad guys. I like the sound of that. I'm going to need some warm tea after this. Takes a lot of hard work to protect a family fortune. Things aren't as easy as they used to be for us bad guys. So you're saying that business is in a slump? Let's not ask about business if we can help it, please. So there was supposedly a car accident here last night. Last night? Of course you wouldn't know about it. Sorry to bother you. Wait. Yes? You're talking about that man, aren't you? The one who flew 30 feet and just walked away. That's my daddy. I should have known. One of our capos thought he'd make a great point man. Capo? Point man? Could you avoid using too much industry lingo? In any case, it's been nothing but trouble. I've been cleaning up this mess since morning. Bah! Cleaning up this paint? Was this paint spilled at the time of the accident? It's around 9 last night. I heard a crashing noise and found your father drowning in a sea of paint. So he came to his rescue. You've my husband, the boss, to thank for that. The car that hit your father knocked over this paint, then turned the corner and sped away. We're in the middle of repainting our wall, you see. I'm sure that dragon is glaring at me. But why are you out here cleaning it up? What do you mean? I mean, aren't you a gangster? Don't you have any goons to do your dirty work for you? Please, go through me when you want to... Don't be such a stiff, lawyer boy. I suppose we gangsters do have a certain image. Yes. We're community-oriented gangsters, you see. The boss likes to give back to the people, see? How noble of him. I availed myself of the public facilities to get rid of all the garbage. Now there's just the paint on the street to deal with. Public facilities? I wonder if she means that trash can. Paint splashed all over this gate. What a mess. This paint knocked over by the car that hit my daddy. That's right. I'm left to clean up the mess. Find whoever did this, bring the scoundrel by, would you? Of course, then you can make them clean up their own mess. You're cute. Naive, but cute. When I find whoever did this, you can bet I'll be doing some cleaning. There's nothing I dislike so much as a mess. Ooh, I wish I could say cool things like that. I'll bet you do. I'd laugh if my teeth weren't chattering so hard. Wow, what a big house. And the gate is so big. The Kitaki family is pretty big around these parts. I like the fox. It's so cute. Ah, that's our family crest from the old country. Your family crest? Yeah. Cute. Naive, but cute. We're clever as the fox, and our teeth are as sharp. So it's like a motto. Need a crest too, Apollo. Ooh, how about the Scales of Justice, or a lunar lander? I'll pass, thanks. Brightly painted dragon. Why do I get the feeling he's glaring at me? His paints must have been to repaint this wall. That's right. Called in an artist to do the job right. He's the third so far. The third? The first spilled paint all over the entrance here. the second on my kimono, so I... No, don't tell me. It's better that I don't know. Oh boy. Wonder what happens if I show her the badge. Sorry, kid. I got no idea what you're talking about. No, okay. Who's that? She's looking at the park. She's pretty. I bet she has a story, you know. There's something about her. Too bad she seems to be in a bit of a rush. Okay, so what's happening here? Like there's some trouble by the park gate. Smell an incident. Ma'am, there's no entry to the park. Now don't you tell me where I can't go, young fella. I always walk through this park on my way home. Please, get down from there. You'll hurt yourself, ma'am. It's quite the determined old lady. Personally, I'm a little more interested in this park. You know what I think? I bet they're filming a movie. Let's go take a look. Maybe we'll see someone famous. Hey, miss, stay out of the park. You got mad at me. Did something happen here, officer? Huh? No, move along, nothing to see. Why don't you kids go play someplace else? We're not kids and we're not playing. I'm an attorney. Something wrong? Ah, Detective Sky. We're here. Sky? We're fine, ma'am, nothing important. Oh, hey! Why is she wearing a lab coat? You hardly want to comment on how people are dressed. And these kids are... curiosity seekers, ma'am. They claim to be lawyers. Why don't you kids run along and play someplace? She doesn't know who we are. Oh. Look, we're not... Or I might spill something on that pretty face of yours. Want a dose of experimental hydroxycellulose trace? Oh god. Come again? What's hydrox stuff? Whatever it is, it doesn't sound good. Let's go, Trucy. Try to keep out the riffraff if you would. Yes, ma'am. I tried. Thanks. How can I get any more information like this? Let me ask that nice woman across the street. Oh yes, that nice woman. Gulp. Can I ask you a question? What? What happened in the park across the street? Oh yes, quite the commotion. Chicago lightning, as the boss would say. Chicago... huh? Gunfire. Someone was killed. Strange circumstances, too. You're kidding! What a morning. Trouble everywhere. The park, the gate, even our house. Something happened at your house, too? A crime without honor, without remorse. It's a private matter. Want to hear about it? Somehow I don't think no is an acceptable answer, Polly. Well, what happened here? It's what happened at your house. Bloomers, last night. Eh? I got a bad feeling about this. Me, little Plum Kataki, the victim of a panty snatcher. Alright, so there's two of them happening. Two incidents of these now. Oh boy. Got you too, did they? Poor thing. Like I said, whoever did this is a hardened criminal. Wasn't you, was it? No, of course not. Mercy. I've heard word panties have been disappearing lately. And the missing panties all have something in common. It's hard to imagine Trucy's and Miss Kataki's panties having much in common. Just imagine Miss Kataki's... Ooh. I know, we'll find your bloomers too. Great, show me what you're made of. So now we have a fourth case. And possibly a fifth one with gunfire happening. That girl from before. Oh, welcome home, sweetie. Hello, Mother. She's a Kataki, too? Miss. Hmm? Here, our flyer. The Right Anything Agency? Anything Agency? Yeah, do you like the new flyer? So, this is our defense attorney, Mr. Apollo Justice. Attorney? Drop by our office. We'll be waiting. Goodbye. Okay? Why did you give her our flyer? I don't know. She seemed like she could use some help. She's the heiress to a gangster dynasty. She doesn't need our help. I wouldn't be so sure. Oh boy. Is there anything else? I don't think this guy's gonna tell us anything. Gotta say, I'd really like to know what happened here. Hey, I said no one goes in, unless you want a face full of hydroxy yada yada what's it? No dice. Oh, there was this garbage can she mentioned. It's a big trash can on the way into the park. I guess we could check it out. Detective's life sure is a hard one. I'm an attorney, actually. Huh? 2 pieces of garbage with paint on them. These are slippers. The Maractus... Hold on. I think I've seen that before. Look like these slippers you get at the hospital. Look at this, Apollo. Doesn't this go in a car? What? Oh, a side view mirror. Maybe from the car that hit him. It's torn off when it smacked into something. Or someone. Wait, you don't think... I do. This could be from the car that hit Mr. Wright. Wow, and he took off its mirror? I never knew Daddy was so strong. I don't think that was the problem. I have room in my pocket for one of these, though. Which do you want to take? I guess we'll start with the slippers. Because the mirror, I mean, if we find a car missing that color, and has a similar one on the other side, then we'll know it's that one. But the slippers, we probably would have to ask about at the place where they got them from. So I'm going to say we'll take the slippers. Yeah, Maractus Clinic. I'm pretty sure that's near where the guy's noodle stand was stolen. So yeah, all of these things are going to end up being connected, aren't they? Park. Huh, kind of an odd name for such an empty place. Wonder why it's named that. Hey, something written on the gate post. Huh? Oh yeah, it says donated by Big Winds Kitaki. I mean, the Kitaki family built this park. It's so nice of them to give to the community like that. Let's not get too friendly with them, shall we? A gangster building a park. On move for a crime boss. I think that's about everything from here. Clinic. Ooh. What? No, that's absolutely a clue. Bottom is covered with paint, but there's a weird leaf shape stuck at the bottom when the wearer stepped in some yellow paint. So the outline is left when the leaf was removed. I got paint on my hand. Hello. I saw you try to wipe your hand on my cape. Huh. She doesn't know anything about him. I wonder if I can... Side view mirror with some paint on it in the trash can. Only carry one thing at a time. Let's keep these for now. Let's not say we did. Another instance of how old this game is. So I guess we'll try the scene of the stand theft. Scene of the stand theft. So, what's this place? This would be Mr. Eldoon's house, silly. Oh, so this is where his stand was stolen from. Let's see a piece of evidence lying on the ground already. Hey! Yeah, there's the clinic. Police car parked over there. You're right. What's with the sparkly entrance? What is this place? A hospital? There's a sign, Maractus Clinic. Oh, that's where the thief went. The thief? Who snatched my panties? He ran into this clinic last night. Wait, maybe that police car is here to find... I would think they would be here to find the thief. Well, there's only one way to be sure. Let's investigate. There you are, Sonny. Well, you find anything yet? Or, no, not yet. The longer you loaf around here, the saltier Victory Bowl gets, just remember that. This bowl of noodles is sounding less like payment, more like punishment. I guess we'll start by talking to him. So, your stand, Eldoon's Noodles, was it? Aye, passed down from father to son. That stand's seen its share of salt. Salt runs in the family, you might say. I bet high blood pressure does too. So, your stand, Eldoon's Noodles, was stolen. Well, it wasn't just the stand that was stolen, sonny boy. I lost those wobbly wheels, my salt-crusted stew pot, my stained sign. I didn't just lose a stand, I lost a legend. No one steals a legend and gets away with it on my watch. Let's find that legend, Apollo. Isn't it about time you bought a new one anyway? Are there any more details you could give me about the stand? You bet, sonny boy. It happened last night. I was blowing my whistle like always, crying the town I was. The smell of broth filled the streets, thick and salty. I got home, well, right before 10 p.m., I reckon. Guess he's not aiming for that late-night market. I washed my bowls and gave the wheels a squirt of grease, then I went inside. When did you notice it had been stolen? Early this morning, before the sun rose. Work starts early. That many people eat noodles for breakfast? I'm washed up on the salty shores of ruination. I'd stand in my whole life in it, nay, my whole being. They took everything? All my soup stock, my noodles, my bowls, and my dreams. At least they left one bowl. Look, there on the ground. If you don't find that stand today, I'll be forced to walk the streets peddling that bowl, my last bowl. Please, I'm under enough pressure here as it is. That's it. That's where the thief who snatched my panties. It's a crying shame, that is. They have to steal and make it my loincloth, not some pretty girl's. Wait a minute. Hold on. The garage, right. You don't think the thief lives here, do you? I wouldn't put it past that good-for-nothing doctor. Do I detect a little animosity here? Let's make sure to check out the garage thoroughly. Okay, but first... Is this yours, Mr. Eldoon? Hey, that there's the heart and soul of Eldoon's Noodles. The bowl absorbs my salty soup. Pretty soon it's gonna taste just like noodles. It does smell like noodles. My other bowls got taken away with my stand. Get it back for me. Yeah, I know. There's a Noodles mascot. I love these little personal touches. Seems a shame to hide on the bottom of the bowl. Huh? When I touched it, the paint flaked off. He must have painted on by hand with warm professional care. You're buying the cheapest paint he could find with cold professional thrift. Also, I don't know if that's the face you want to be making, or you want to make someone think of when you're serving them noodles. Mr. Salty, he's so cute. Not a very endearing mascot, is it? You know, come to think of it, it looks a lot like you, Apollo, especially the red parts. Can I help it if I like red? Okay, I don't know how helpful that is, but... Look, a doggy. Good boy, Salty. Sure the dog has a real name, Trucy. Yep, sure does. Name's Spoon, and it's a she, by the way. Spoon doesn't seem so lively. She didn't get her bowl of salty broth this morning, that's... Sir? I don't think you should be feeding salty broth to your dog every morning. I think that may be more the problem. Pretty sure dogs aren't supposed to eat noodles. This house is, well, it's old. It's been well loved, that's for sure. I've lived here with my wife for many years now. It's got character, though, just like my soup. I always thought character was a positive thing. Looks like the oil drum is connected to that sink over there. collecting rainwater to do the dishes. How environmentally conscious. You don't think he uses rainwater to cook his noodles and to make the broth, do you? Well, I'm sure he finds the best water money can buy. Taste is his business, you know. Look, that sign over there. Eldunes only uses water from all natural sources. There's a handwritten sign here. Save the light. Save the light indeed. Mr. Eldune's house is practically in the dark here. Yes, the hospital clinic next door blocks the sunlight. Everything's gone wrong since they built this monstrosity. Broth needs sun or it rots. What's a man to do? They just want my customers to get food poisoning so they can turn a pretty profit. It seems like a lot of trouble to go through for a few extra patients. It's quite a sign. I take it that's new as opposed to old. You like it? Made it myself, I did. Meant to write noodles, but ran out of space. Prior planning prevents poor performance. Lucky for me, it spells a word all by itself, and it spruces up my image, it does. Let's have a certain power of willful denial thing going for it. That's the place, right there. That's where I kept my stand, covered in all nice and pretty with that blue tarp there. So use this plastic sheet to cover your stand at night, I see. See what? Did you figure out why it was stolen? Well, no, but it does suggest that the thief knew what he or she was looking for. They clearly knew it was under that sheet. So it wasn't one of those casual drive-by stand snatchers, you mean? Not bad, sonny boy, not bad at all. Alright, well I think that's everything here. I understand that there's an ambulance outside, but a police car? Maybe they're tax evaders. Sorry, miss, no going into the clinic today. Something happened? Huh? Oh, no, nothing to see here. Move along. You have to find someplace else to play doctor. You look like the right age to be playing doctor. We need a little more info on this Maractus clinic. We could ask Mr. Eldune, he is their neighbor and all. We should check out that garage. The thief who stole my panties is still in there. Looks like they have a special offer going on. 3 shots for the price of 1. Chance for what? I don't need any shots, thank you. Who runs this clinic? They seem pretty business-minded. Doorway sure is sparkly. The Maractus Clinic, huh? It's more like a casino parlor than a hospital. Must be quite profitable. Funny, it looks closed. Maybe they're on vacation today. Okay, looks like everything here. Hey, do you think something happened next door? There's a police car out front. Feh, probably gave someone food poisoning, I'll bet. Anyone's at risk of giving someone food poisoning. The police car got here this morning, actually. I asked what they were up to. They wouldn't even tell me. The neighbor. Feh. Not that I was surprised much. That doctor works for the wrong crowd. It was just a matter of time before he got what was coming to him. The wrong crowd? Never you mind about it. Or mysteries. Well, let's try presenting him the shoes. Maybe he will recognize. Wait, no, I gotta... Sorry, sonny boy, my interest is for my stand and precious little else. Cracking on that case. Find my stand, I'm begging you. Oh, we can go to the garage. Well... I see several things. This is the place. This is where that panty snatcher ran. Are you sure? Maybe. Let's look for clues. Clues to a panty snatching. Clues like... Trucy, could you try not saying it so many times? Well, first of all, we actually have a connection to something else we've been looking for. Something about this car. Let's take a closer look. Yeah, this part right here, where the rear view mirror that looks like the thing that broke off that's in the trash can is. Now this is a clue. Smiling like you know something I don't. You aren't keeping a clue from me, are you, Polly? A clue? Let's see. Oh. I'm gonna have to go back and get the mirror. Not that I can think of. What were you smiling about? I wasn't smiling, it was the dust in here. I thought I was going to sneeze. What you? Well, don't make faces that, are so misleading then. I know yawns are contagious, but sneezes? Well, I'm sure there's gotta be a clue somewhere. Just keep checking things out. Look, a cell phone. Someone dropped it beneath this tire. If the car moved, it would be crushed for sure. Wonder if it belongs to the doctor here. We should bring it to him later. Found a cell phone. It's got a... Hold on. This cute little watch strap. I want one. It's kind of odd, though. What is? I mean, if you wanted to know the time, you could just look at the phone itself. Hey, you're right. Sharp, Apollo. Thanks. Finally, some respect. So what does that tell you? Well, the owner of this phone doesn't think through the details, for one. They did drop their phone, after all. Kind of figured they were a little spacey already. Oh, good point. Can try turning it on. See if it belongs to. No. Anything on the back? Okay. Something else here. Reminds me, I once read a record of a case that Mr. Wright worked on many years ago. Apparently, there was this car with a piece of cloth shoved in the tailpipe. The piece of cloth turned out to be a vital clue to solving the case. Wow, I remember that case record when I was checking out a car. I always check the tailpipe. Everyone's gotta have a hobby, I guess. Wouldn't it be funny if... Hey, something in there. What? Wait a second. Are these... We actually found them. You're a genius. Amazing. No, really, don't mention it. No, I'm serious. I'm really impressed. Phrasing? What are those? They've come home from... What? Going now? Watch closely now. See? Nothing in the panties. Ta-da! Whoa! Where'd that come from? How did that bowl get in... next dimensional space? What? Okay, so it's a magic trick. It's just a very strange choice of... container. Could have told me a little sooner. Well, that's one case closed, at least. What are you saying? You still have to catch the sly devil that ran off with the tool of my trade. Alright. Well, I mean, something tells me we're not finished searching this garage anyway. Well, I need to go back. I mean, I guess I might as well... Yeah, so let's swap these. I'm on it. Okay. I guess it wouldn't be an adventure game if we didn't have arbitrary inventory mechanics. Alright, let's do do this again here. Yeah, I mean, obviously. Actually, wait, before we do that. Okay. Also paint on it, but that's kind of not unexpected. Alright. Yeah, it obviously goes on there. Same color, size, and everything. Perfect match. We could check it out. Yeah. So yeah, we found it earlier. Looks like we've just solved the case. So the car that hit Daddy last night is sitting right in front of us. Yep. Wow, you put the pro in professional, Apollo. Gee, thanks, Trucy. Apollo, huh? What is it? Now that we've solved this case, we should go report to Daddy. He'll mope if we leave him alone too long, knowing him. He doesn't seem the type to mope, though. And this is hardly a case worth reporting. I mean, it was a hit and run. Also, I mean, I guess they could have washed the paint off? Also, cat. Kitty cat. Here, kitty, kitty. Aww. It's not coming down. You do look kind of suspicious, you have to admit. It's okay, his hair won't hurt you. She won't make you disappear in her hat. Also this. Just a gold-painted human skeleton. Just a human skeleton and painted gold. There's a mannequin hand waving to us from the box behind the skeleton. The place just screams hospital storage, don't you think? What kind of hospital is this? It's a ladder. Polly, that's called a step ladder. Come on. A step ladder? How is that different from a regular ladder, then? It's a much more complex piece of machinery. It's like two ladders stuck together. So you admit that it's basically a ladder. Wait, huh? You have to look past the form, at the essence of the thing. Or, can we talk about something else? Okay, I think that's everything here. Well, Plum's not here. She's not finished cleaning, huh? Maybe she went to get a paint scraper. Okay, who's the wise guy who spit gum out on the street? Her voice carries all the way to the street from inside the mansion. He's a neat freak. How cute. You there. It was you, wasn't it? Fess up. I hope you've said your prayers. You're gonna need them. Trucy, let's leave. Now. Going to the agency? Yo, how goes it? Hey, how you feel? Not bad, Trucy, not bad. It's good to have you youngins on the case. It's a little Daddy who gets some well-deserved R&R. The elderly need their rest. No comment. We cleared up most of the cases. I was right about you. Competent. Capable. Tell me what you found out, if you want to. Enthusiasm is overwhelming. Well, I certainly didn't expect you back this early. Polly's amazing. Found a panty so quick, almost like he was the one who stole them. You have an interesting concept of praise. And, did you find the mad driver who gave me that 30-foot toss? Apparently, it was a doctor from the Maractus Clinic. Maractus, eh? Heard of him. Nothing good, mind you. That reminds me, a police car was parked outside the clinic. Maybe something happened. What is this Maractus Clinic anyway? I've heard of the rumors that Clink's been making good money in a bad way. Bad? Ties to organized crime. The Kitaki family. He did that on purpose. Some injuries you can't take to a public hospital, see? They use the Maractus Clinic for their patch-up jobs. Like something had happened in that park. A body was found there in unusual circumstances. Something more unusual than being dead? It's not our concern, in any case. Right, let's ignore that. What happened to professional curiosity? Thanks, really. If I get tired of sleeping, maybe I'll head down to this Maractus place. Maybe hit him up for some reparations. A little legal action would do me some good. I was wondering when I get paid. We solved the case of your accident, and found a missing article of clothing. Yes, that leaves the noodle stand. Eh? Feel free to drop in if you get stuck. I'd be happy to help with anything not involving money. Goodbye, quid pro quo, hello pro bono. Right, back to the office to plan our next move. Alright. Oh, hello. The woman from the Kitaki place. Yes. I knew it. Something's the matter and you want our help, right? Well, you've come to the right place. This way, please. Thank you. My name is Alita Tiala. I have a request. Okay. Your request, let me guess, something's been stolen? Your flyer, it says now defending, so I thought, what? You mean you want me to defend you? Me? Maybe you can tell us what happened. Were you hit by a car? Did someone steal your stand? Or your panties? No. I'm not the client, actually. The client would be my fiancé, I suppose you'd call him. Fiancé? What happened to him, then? He was arrested this morning. The charge was murder. Murder? Have you heard about what happened at the park? We'll take a look at this. What happened? I haven't been told all the details, but I do know a body was found in the park near the Kitaki mansion. There were a lot of police cars there. Apparently, the victim was shot with a pistol, but I hear the circumstances of the shooting were rather unusual, and your fiancé was arrested for this. What sort of person is your fiancé? So what's your story? You frequent the Kitaki mansion, yes? You member of their organization? No, not yet. Her fiancé is, presumably. Yeah. Boss's son, so he's a gangster. Yes, but the Kitakis are locally responsible gangsters. Yes. Always get your gangsters from locally responsible sources. I thought it'd be nice for a change. Quit my boring job, live the good gangster life. I think you're onto something. Miss Kitaki, I like the sound of that. I'm not sure your daddy would care much for that. Your fiancé is the Kitaki family's only son, correct? His name's Waki Kitaki. I brought a photo. Well, that's quite the photo. Oh no. Oh. I know. Oh, he can be powerful and menacing, but so cute. Yeah, he has terrible taste in shirts, unfortunately. But if he's the boss's only son, yes, I'm sure he'll take his father's place someday. Say, I'm a boss already at this agency. Please help my Waki, please. Right, my first solo defense case. Try boss's son or not, I'll prove he's innocent. I prepared a letter of request. I know you need those. Okay. Right, let's go check out the scene of the crime. Well, I did say let's go see the scene of the crime first, I guess. motorcycle. So this is it, my first murder crime scene. Ah, it's you kids again. Look, can't you find some other place to play? We're not playing. We're, investigating. Aren't we, Apollo? Sir, I have a letter of request here. Letter of... Huh. Why does it say hit... This Tiala must have used the Kataki's stationery. Excuse me, coming through. Ah, it's you, Mr. Gavin. Who's this guy? Sam used to being inspected by the ladies. This is the first time I felt this way with him. Okay? Mr. Gavin? Ah, Fräulein, what is a sweet morsel like you? Yeah. Policeman officer fellow here won't let us in. We even have a letter of request. You must be exhausted standing out here. I will take you to the scene of the crime. What? Who? By your leave, officer. Yes, sir. Of course, sir. Very well. This way, Fräulein. Hey, what about me? Oh God, what happened? Well, we found the noodle stand. On that note, enjoy your investigation. Thank you. Will we see you again? Ask the wind. I'll be riding on it. Okay, then. Oh, look. A corpse. What? Hey, it's just a mannequin. Wow, it sure got me. Might I ask exactly what it is you're doing here? Oh, it's you. How did you kids get in here? Oh, this guy. Well, he was more like a prince, really. He let us in. Him again. Glimmerous fop, always getting in my way. Anyway, this scene is off limits. Excuse me? We have a letter of request. One moment. Why is she holding that big magnifying glass? I'd recognize that handwriting anywhere. Scientific analysis says this was written by Alida Tiala. Thanks. It took you 30 minutes to figure that out? So, what's up with the mannequin there? It's taking the place of the body, preserving the scene of the crime as it was found. The body was pulling the stand? So, you're a defense attorney, are you? Detective Emma Skye. I'm in charge of this crime scene. She doesn't seem that happy about it. She doesn't seem that happy about many things. I trust you know how to stay out of the way. I always carry 2 pairs of handcuffs, just in case. Detective Skye? Quiet, please. It's snack time. What? Making much progress here. Must not be very busy. Never seem to get a lucky break. Back after 9 years and they won't give me the position I requested. And then I hear he gave up the defense attorney life. He? Who's he? Ex-defense attorney? Gee, I wonder who that could be. Detective Skye? I have a sinking feeling I know what's going to happen. Yep. Okay, not getting anywhere there. Well, here's the noodle stand. Must be the crime scene. But we need to investigate. Apollo, look! That stand! Yeah, It's, Aldoon's. Well, we solved the case of the missing stand at least. Though the circumstances could stand to be better. Investigation to be carried out by professionals, scientifically. You're going to let us check out the crime scene, is she? Hey, Apollo, my very unscientific analysis tells me something here is very suspicious. I think I know what you mean. It's kind of hard not to notice. I better check out what we came here to find at least. Well, we found the noodle stand. I don't think there's anything else. Just for a moment. Nah, it's not gonna work. Yeah, you're extremely busy eating snacks, I get it. Well, at least we can go tell, Aldoon where his stand is. Oh, Mr. Aldoon, hello? Looks like he left. Yeah, I think I'm gonna pass on that free bowl. You have to wait a little longer. What a bummer. Of course. I think these are all the same as before. Anything else in the garage? Doesn't seem like it. Ah, you're back. Run into some problems? Oh, Polly, didn't you want to tell Daddy something? Who, me? No, I'm fine, really. What's this? So there is a problem. No problem, actually. I got a defense request. Defense request? That is a problem. Huh? I've given up the court. I'm not a lawyer anymore. The request was from me! Oh, right. You're a lawyer, aren't you? He's doing that on purpose, I know it. What about this defense? Hey! Get down from there. You are getting into trouble. Not dinner time yet. You just wait. So what about this defense request? It's related to the murder in People Park, actually. Guess what? We found Mr. Aldoon's noodle stand at the scene of the crime. Did you now? That's unusual indeed. Never heard of a noodle stand being used as a murder weapon. I think the murder weapon was something else. You mean you don't know what the murder weapon was? That funny detective lady won't let us on the scene. What kind of detective wears a lab coat anyway? A lab coat? Didn't think she'd be involved with this. Yeah, you know who this is, Phoenix. You know her, don't you? I met her on a case. This was about 10 years ago. She was still a high school student at the time. That would make her about the same age as me. That's my daddy. He knows all the police types. Oh wait, maybe you know that other guy too. That other guy? Shining Prince on the motorcycle. Prince? Indulge a concerned father. At the crime scene, he looked just like Mr. Gavin. Did he now? You know him? My guess is he's Christoph Gavin's younger brother. His brother? We're acquaintances after a fashion. Clavier Gavin, rock and roll god incarnate. What? Wait. What was he doing out there? Yeah. I have a feeling you'll be crossing paths again soon. Now, what was the problem again? Having trouble investigating the crime scene in the park? Yeah, that detective woman won't let us. Go to the office. Under the silk top hat, you'll find a bottle of white powder. Try taking that to this detective. White powder? It's not what I think it is. Just take it to her. It'll be fine, you'll see. Oh, and tell her I said hi. Now, some of you might be thinking, what could this white powder be? So this must be the silk top hat he mentioned. Let's take a closer look. Yeah, it's a fingerprinting kit. I remember finding some in Daddy's dresser when I was little. I thought it was sugar, so I lit. No. The alleged ability to improve Detective Sky's mood. She's sure to know what that is. Yeah. Does this ring any bells? Is that... It couldn't. Where'd you get that? Brought it from the office. You work at the Wright & Co. law offices, yes? Yeah, sort of. Detective Sky, how do you know my daddy? Daddy? I'm sorry, who did you say you were? Trucy Wright, Phoenix Wright's daughter. What? Mr. Wright has a daughter? You seem shocked. Well, if you're Mr. Wright's daughter and you're his apprentice, then I'm available to help you in any way I can. Oh, thanks. You can start by not calling me Mr. Wright's apprentice. Powder's used for detecting fingerprints. Fingerprints? I guess you might call it a memento from the time I spent with Mr. Wright. White powder. If you find any evidence with fingerprints on it, please let me know. We'll dust for prints. Oh, she's quite the eager beaver all of a sudden. Report came in late last night. The body was found much as you see it now, except it was a real body. But why? Why was the body pulling a noodle stand? If I knew the answer to that, I wouldn't still be here. What was the cause of death? A bullet wound to the temple. He was shot by a pistol. A pistol? Not the easiest thing to come by in this day and age. Unless you're a cop or a gangster. Incidentally, the victim's name was Palmaractus. Oh boy. Everything is getting tied together. I just received the autopsy report, in fact. I mean, really, what's up with this case? It's enough to make me want to run off, pulling a mysterious noodle stand behind me. Not so mysterious, actually. You should tell her, Apollo. After all, we know where the stand came from. A likely story. I didn't come here to play games, you know. Actually, we do know where the noodle stand came from. The noodle stand's owner is... this guy. Who's the old guy? This is the proprietor of Eldoon's Noodles, Mr. Eldoon himself. He's famous in this part of town. Not bad. I guess Mr. Wright picked the right kids for the job. That saved me a lot of work. Thanks. The victim died pulling it. What sort of person was the victim, anyway? You mean, what did he do? He was a doctor. A doctor? I'm starting to see a connection here. Yeah, I think I know where he was a doctor at. Who, me? I'm just a supervisor of this crime scene. Detective Sky, was out of the country for a while. Came back to be a forensic scientist. Ooh, were you studying abroad? Something like that. I was studying in Europe. Forensic sciences, mind you. When I got back here, they threw me in criminal affairs, just like that. Why didn't you just become a forensics expert in Europe? Well, I suppose that was an option, but I had a lot of favors to repay to people back here. Favors? Wasn't she in high school when she left? What? What's that look for? I was involved in an incident before I left. Mr. Wright and his people helped me out. I owed them. Really? I had no idea. She's been out of the country for a while. She probably doesn't know about Mr. Wright's current, state of affairs. Could you tell us a bit about the defendant? He's the only son of the Kitaki family, yes? Waki Kitaki. I don't know if he is the boss's son, but he's certainly throwing his weight around. Violently, in the detention center. I see. Why was he arrested in the first place? You are a defense attorney, aren't you? You're not his by any chance. Or actually, yes, I am. Well, we have a witness to the moment of the crime. Eh? The witness called the police. They'll be testifying during the trial tomorrow. What? Tell us a bit more about the victim. Well, let's see. Apparently he's the physician at a clinic in the area. Quite well off, too, from the sound of it. The clinic's name is the Maractus Clinic, yep. Maybe that's why the cop car is parked there. What? You been to the clinic? Yeah, though on a related issue. I told the detective about the case of the stolen noodle stand. I see. So that means Dr. Maractus stole the stand and pulled it all the way here? That would seem to be the case. But why? Don't ask me. Huh. Well, unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to call it here. My voice is starting to get a little hoarse and, or rough. And it's getting pretty late. I'm going to have to hit the hay pretty soon. But, well, we've got our, first investigation. It's not quite done yet. I think we're going to have to go back and pick up those slippers at some point. A lot of questions still to figure out. Why was this guy pulling a noodle stand? Why did he run over Phoenix Wright? Presumably. Yeah, we'll have to figure it out next time. I'm going to go ahead and save. And that's going to do it for this one. I don't know if I'll be able to get some streaming in for tomorrow. Might be a bit. We'll see how work goes this week. My schedule is still not exactly great, but, you know, we'll figure it out. But until then, hope you enjoyed this. Hey, we got to the first case at least. And, yeah, have a good evening. See you next time.